did not just rule the world, they erased it. For nearly 6 centuries, the Roman Empire stood as the most powerful civilization humanity had ever constructed. Roads that cut across continents, armies that marched without mercy, cities that gleamed with marble and ambition. And yet, beneath every gleaming column, beneath every triumphant arch, something grotesque was buried. Not battles, not wars, something far more personal, far more deliberate. The emperors, the men history would later chisel into statues and immortalize in textbooks, were running something that historians, even today, struggle to fully describe without flinching. A system so embedded into Roman civilization that millions of people lived inside it without ever questioning its existence. They called it an empire, but for those who lived at the bottom of it, it was something else entirely. 40%. That is the number that stops historians cold when they first encounter it. 40% of the population of Rome, at its absolute peak, were enslaved human beings, not prisoners of war waiting to go home, not temporary workers, owned, bought, sold, worked until their bodies gave out, then replaced. And that is just the part Rome admitted to. What they buried, what they deliberately kept off their own records, is the part that changes everything you thought you knew about this civilization. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear was hidden for nearly 2,000 years. To understand what Rome truly was, you have to strip away the mythology first. The Forum, the Senate, the Colosseum, these are the images we inherit. Grand, powerful, eternal, the images Rome wanted the world to remember. But empires are not built on marble. They are built on what is hidden beneath it. By 100 AD, Rome controlled a territory stretching from Scotland to the edge of Mesopotamia, over 5 million square kilometers. It was feeding a city of 1 million people, building aqueducts that still function today, running a bureaucracy that would not be matched for another 1,000 years. But ask yourself this: who was doing the work? The answer Rome preferred you never examine too closely. Because the entire Roman economic engine, the agriculture, the mining, the construction, the domestic service, the entertainment, ran almost exclusively on forced human labor. An estimated 6 million enslaved people at peak empire, men, women, and children, with no legal existence whatsoever. They could not own property, could not marry legally, could not refuse any order given to them. The mines were the worst. Roman silver mines in Spain, Carthago Nova, held up to 40,000 enslaved workers at a single site. Ancient historian Diodorus Siculus wrote that workers there never stopped, night or day, forced underground with no light except the oil lamp on their forehead, worked until their lungs gave out from toxic fumes. Then buried where they fell. But the mines were not the secret Rome worked hardest to conceal. It was what happened inside the private homes of Rome's wealthiest citizens that historians are still uncovering today. Practices so normalized they were barely discussed, even by the discussed, because the most terrifying things are the ones nobody needs to explain. And the deeper archaeologists dig, the more they are finding. In 2010, archaeologists excavating a Roman-era site in Buckinghamshire, England, a site that had once been a high-status Roman villa, made a discovery that silenced the dig team completely. In a drainage ditch, mixed with animal bones and common refuse, they found the remains of 97 newborn infants, not buried, not mourned, discarded. Isotope analysis confirmed the infants were full-term, born alive. DNA evidence suggested a disproportionate number were male. The most widely accepted interpretation among forensic historians, these were the children of enslaved women working in the villa. Children who, under Roman law, were themselves property the moment they were born. Children whose existence was economically inconvenient. This was not an isolated horror. Similar infant remains have since been found at Roman sites across Britain, Italy, and North Africa, at Hambledon in England, at Ashkelon in Israel. The pattern is unmistakable. But even this was considered legal, unremarkable, recorded nowhere, because it required no explanation in Roman society. The Roman legal system had a concept called patria potestas, the absolute power of the father. A Roman citizen held the legal right of life and death over every member of his household, not just enslaved people, his own children, his wife, everyone under his roof existed, legally, at his pleasure, and the state reinforced this. Roman courts did not prosecute household deaths. Roman records do not catalog the disappeared. The empire simply looked away. For 600 years, historians now believe that what we have been taught about Rome, its engineering, its law, its philosophy, represents approximately the top 3% of Roman society. The experiences of the other 97% are what the marble statues were built to cover. Rome did not fall because of barbarians at the gate. That is the story Rome's own historians preferred. The clean narrative, the external enemy. But modern historians looking at the collapse of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD see something far more complicated and far more familiar. By the 4th century, the Roman economy was collapsing inward. The supply of enslaved people, which had fueled the entire empire, was drying up as military expansion slowed. Without conquered peoples to enslave, the economic engine stalled. Wealthy landowners could not maintain production. The currency was being debased. The gap between the empire's richest citizens and its most desperate had become an unbridgeable chasm. The people at the bottom of Roman society, the enslaved, the indentured, the poor, did not mourn the empire's end. Many of them welcomed the Visigoths, joined them, opened the gates, because an empire built on the suffering of the many cannot sustain itself on the glory of the few. It never could. It never can. Today, Rome's legacy saturates our world. Our legal systems trace back to Roman law. Our architecture echoes Roman forms. Our political vocabulary, Senate, Republic, Constitution, is Roman. We have inherited Rome's greatest ideas, and we have very carefully inherited its tendency to celebrate the builders while forgetting who was forced to build. There are an estimated 40 million people living in modern slavery today. The International Labor Organization calls it the largest criminal industry on earth, after drug trafficking. The methods have changed. The documents have changed. The fundamental transaction has not. Rome did not teach us that slavery was wrong. Rome taught us how to normalize it, and that lesson has proven far more durable than any aqueduct. History is never just the past. It is the explanation for the present that those in power would prefer you never connect. Rome was not an aberration. It was a blueprint, and blueprints get reused. What this empire buried was not just the bodies in those drainage ditches. It buried the voices, the faces, the names of the millions who built every road, every aqueduct, every monument we still admire today. They were erased so that the glory could belong to someone else. The question history keeps asking us, and the question Rome never answered, is this: what do we owe to the people whose suffering built the world we inherited? If this made you think differently about something you thought you already understood, that is exactly what dark history is supposed to do. Drop your thoughts below. What part of this shocked you most? And if you want to keep uncovering the truths that were buried on purpose, you already know what to do.